Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do my quick workflow video of how I use Gaia and nitrogen together to create a quick little world. Basically, remember, Gaia is a world building program for Unity, so it can build an entire world. However, we only, for the purposes of this video today, only want its ground creation features, so I'm not going to be using everything that it does. Show Gaia Manager. I'm in the standard area here. I'm going to go ahead and click Terrain and show Stamper. I'm going to click Enhance Terrain. I don't really know what this does, but it says Enhance, so I'll make it the most, and maybe it does something cool. Who knows? The tutorials for this are clearly for older versions of Gaia, so I can't really follow them too much. But I'm going to go ahead and click on Session Manager, and then do Random Terrain Generator. And this is basically, I'm going to change the stamp grid to 5. That changes the stamps generated from 26, whereas if it was a 3, it would only generate 10 stamps. Anyway, and this is going to pull from the stamps folders that's way over here. Let's see, I want an island, so I'm going to have a water border. Be a decent chance for mountains, decent chance for a river, but for the most part, all I want is some sort of like rough random gen thing going on. I'll change the size so that way I can add my stamps manually after that. And go ahead and click Add Stamps. Boom, 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 boom. Let it do its thing. And in theory, it added a bunch of stamps. Actually, here's my stamps right here. Duh. So this is interesting. This is a very odd looking stamp. I'd almost say it's backwards. So let's see, let's shrink it down some maybe. I don't know, this is kind of a weird stamp. So I don't really know if I like this stamp, so I'm going to invert it, turn it to a mountain. Yeah, this is just weird looking. But yeah, okay, this will work though. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click stamp on it. Stamp it to the terrain. I'm going to look at the terrain. There, I got my mountain. So there's my stamper, there's my mountain. Okay, so far so good, right? That's my world. But I want to go ahead and add something cool to it, right? So let's say I want to add a river to it. So I'm going to go down to my stamps. I'm going to go down to rivers. I'm going to find the Mississippi River, Colorado. You know what? I like the Colorado River. Click on Stamper. Colorado River. Yeah, that one looks good because that's the preview down there. Stamper, and I'm going to drag Colorado River over here. That's way too big. So let's see what I want to do. I want to maybe lower the height a little bit. And I want to add a river somewhere. So what's this thing actually look like? That's a weird looking river. Do I want that there? Maybe I don't want the Colorado River. Let's try to set the river over here. And then I'm going to go ahead and invert the stamp. Okay, that's more like it. That looks more like what I want to do, right? So I'm going to go ahead and lower this a little bit here, and then instead of raising to the ground height, I'm going to lower to the ground height, and then I'm going to stamp it, because remember I want to lower it to the stamp. And then when I look at my terrain, now all of a sudden I've got this weird river, right? So far so good, everything looks cool. Yeah. Maybe I want to add a Devil's Tower, because I like Devil's Tower. It's a fun little thing. You see it in Close Encounters. And then that's Devil's Tower peak right there. Let's go ahead and move it over here, for instance. Yeah, that seems cool. And I'm going to go ahead and, let's see, we'll go back to raise the height. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp this as well. And then boom, there's my Devil's Tower. I got a river. So, excuse me. River seems pretty deep. So when I change my water heights in, what do you call that thing? 7 days to die, I'll have to make sure that I adjust the water height basically to about here or so. So this is pretty much all I really give a shit about as far as Gaia goes. So then I'm going to go, since I'm on terrain, I'm going to go to terrain settings, and I'm going to export the raw file. It's going to export it to 2049 bit, 16-bit Windows, whatever it may be, and I'm just going to go ahead and export it to Gaia right here. I have a folder made up for it, I'm going to save it. And then I'm going to go to that, and then there it is right there. So when I load it in Photoshop, 16 bits IBM PC 2049, all looks familiar, right? And there's my world folder. First thing I want to do is brighten it up a little bit, because 7 Days to Die goes from 0, which is black, to 255, which is white, but there's no 255 in here. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust it up some, kill the contrast a little bit, kind of smooth it out so it doesn't like look all sharp and stuff like that. Yeah, that should be pretty cool. Now you notice though that the image is flipped, and for whatever reason raw files are flipped. I don't really understand why, so you have to basically work for it backwards. This is the bottom, this is the top. One thing you can do is you can temporarily flip it vertically, and then that's what it's actually going to look like in the world. So you make your edits and then reflip it back before you save it. But one thing I also need to do is I need to resize it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to image size it. I'm going to change it to a 4096 world, basically a 4K world. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and remember to flip it again. Image rotation flip, file save as, and we're going to call it import and then PNG file. I don't like compression. I don't want to lose any detail. So now I'm done with Photoshop. Now I can make other changes and whatnot, but this is just to kind of get me going. I'm going to go ahead and copy this file. I'm going to go into Gaia resources, and I'm going to go ahead and paste it, and it's going to replace the current one that's there. So now when I go into nitrogen, do I have nitrogen open yet? Nope, I do not. I'm going to choose use import HM, that's what I called it, and I'm going to turn the roads off to none because I just think it's going to generate faster that way. Plus I just want to show you some stuff. Pretty much everything on the terrain though is already going to be taken care of because let's see, because it's I did it, we're reading from the DTM map. So I've got an output folder, so basically everything else looks good. Let's see, though, I want some cities, maybe I want some small cities, some, oops, large towns. I want the traders, and you know, I want to default traders, but I want them near the town, so that was already set. Town, there we go. I want a lot of towns. I also want them small. City grid, I like irregular. That's just how I like it. I don't like a lot of outback POIs. Mountain huts, yeah, that sounds cool. Let's see what a fair few of those still are. I don't like those. And custom towns, 2 of each type. Looks like this is a new setting. I don't know anything about it. And let's click generate and see what happens. So it's using the height map that I made, this thing, to basically place the POIs. And this is what I want right up here. And we wait, and we wait, and we wait. It's made the biomes, so if you remember, it was a mountain in the top right here, so I decided to make it, what do you call it, forest all around with a mountain on top. But again, this is completely editable, so what I'll do is actually go into it in Photoshop and then add my wasteland around my towns, my cities, and things like that. That way, you know, it's natural looking. I don't let nitrogen deal with that because I don't care about it. And then come on number 2, because number 2 is my preview. And we wait. There we go. What do we think of them apples? So I got a whole bunch of cities and towns all around. I got my river that I asked for. I got my mountain, and Devil's Tower is right here. And that's pretty much my workflow. Not too shabby. Now, other things, like I said, I'll do is I'll go ahead and do I like this? Yes, I think so. Do I want to paint some wastelands? So that, yeah, I probably do. So I'll actually go ahead and open this with Photoshop. Resize it to resize. Remember, I'm only dealing with a 4K world. I'm gonna go ahead and let's see. I got this, and then I want the biomes file. So biomes, open with Photoshop. Resize this to also 4096. Oh, you know what? In nitrogen, I have it set to make an AK world. That's why. So these are actually AK maps. Change that back and then change that back. I forgot to adjust that. Image size. A192, A192. Alright, so the whole idea here is I want to be able to paint these, right? So I've got this thing here, so I'm going to go ahead and Control C it over here, go to here, add a new layer, and then I'm going to Control V that bad boy, and then I'm going to change the opacity down a little bit, just so I know where the towns are at. Then I'm going to click on layer, and then I'm going to paint my biome colors. I'm going to go ahead and just paint a bunch of like wasteland over here and some burnt forest around it, and then use some special keys for the stamps and whatnot. But long story short, this is how I paint my biomes, is by previewing it over this, or sometimes I also preview it over this, but then I have to flip it. So long story short, though, that's it. That's my workflow to get this kind of world.